onnj'onzzz, DCAU. Onnj'onzzz is a telepathic shapeshifter, one of few surveying Martians and a founding member of the Justice League known as the Martian Manhunter, taking charge and forever mourning the loss of his people. Jon can be seen as the true founder of the Justice League, having telepathically reached out to each of the founding members, except for Batman, who nonetheless followed Superman's lead, and gathered them together. History. Before the invasion of Mars by the Imperium, Jon lived a normal life with his wife, Maria H., and his 2 children. After the invasion, Jon's wife and children died. Jon took part in the war, and was a member of the strike team that launched his people's final, desperate offensive. Jon succeeded in releasing the nerve gas that placed the invaders in suspended animation. As the last known surviving member of the strike team and of the entire Martian race, Jon then sealed the invaders' underground headquarters to keep them entombed and stood guard over it for 500 years. While Jon was in a hibernation cycle, astronauts from Earth, including J. Allen Carter, accidentally revived the invaders. Jon awoke, managed to escape Mars, and came to Earth to warn humanity of the Imperium. Once on Earth, Jon was captured by Imperium forces posing as members of the US military. After the Imperium began their invasion of Earth, Jon reached out telepathically to several heroes on Earth: Superman, John Stewart, Hawkgirl, Wonder Woman, and Flash. Superman and Batman, having already encountered the invaders, freed Jon, and were joined by the other heroes he had contacted. Banding together, the newly formed team managed to destroy the Imperium and save Earth. Mindful of future threats, Superman proposed the formation of the Justice League. Jon was initially hesitant, but Superman, who, as the sole survivor of Krypton, empathized with Jon, assured him that he didn't have to be alone anymore. Early missions. When Superman was imprisoned on Warworld, Jon worked covertly to sway the masses' favor to him, thus averting his execution at the hands of Mongol. During the League's first encounter with Morgaine Le Fay, Jon attempted to locate her telepathically. Le Fay seized his mind and tempted him with visions of a fantasy world where his wife and children were still alive. Seduced by her promises to resurrect his family, Jon stole the Philosopher's Stone from the Watchtower and brought it to her, but managed to overcome the temptation and destroyed the stone. Jon attempted to resign from the League in shame, but Jason Blood convinced him to remain, praising his strength and courage. Along with Superman, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Wonder Woman, and Flash, Jon traveled back in time to World War II, after time had been altered by Vandal Savage. Though he was captured and tortured, Jon managed to escape, destroying the cache of Savage's advanced technological data, and taking part in the League's successful assault on the German invasion force heading for America. During a search for the fugitive Lex Luthor, Superman proposed that Jon try a citywide telepathic search. When Jon opened his mind, however, he was inundated with thousands of people's petty and selfish thoughts, and the experience nearly destroyed him mentally and emotionally. Taking refuge in an isolated forest, Jon was afraid to use his telepathic abilities again, until he saw a search party selflessly looking for a lost runaway child. Using his telepathy, Jon located the girl and reunited her with her parents, his faith in humanity restored. Jon subsequently came to the aid of the League, left at the mercy of Luthor and the power-copying android Amazo. Jon allowed Amazo to copy his own powers, knowing that the android's new telepathy would enable him to read Luthor's mind and discover his deceitful intentions. Sure enough, Amazo turned on Luthor, destroying his battle suit before flying into space in search of new knowledge. When the rest of the League except for himself and Batman were attacked in their sleep by Dr. Destiny, Jon used his formidable telepathic abilities to rescue his teammates from their various nightmares and to bind them together to fight Destiny's mind control. The Justice League had a battle with themselves shortly before fighting Grodd's newly formed secret society. When the team lost in their first encounter, Jon was the first member to leave from the Justice League. When the rest of the League was captured in a well-organized attack by Grodd's secret society, Jon managed to evade capture by masquerading as Clayface and duping Killer Frost into freezing the real Clayface, who had shapeshifted into Jon's form in a block of ice. Jon released his comrades just before their execution. Jon fought with the rest of the Justice League against the secret society, and won in front of a cheering crowd and reformed the team alongside his friends. After Superman had apparently fallen in battle, Jon pronounced the eulogy at his funeral. He also took part in the League's repulsion of the Thanagarian invasion, in which he used his telepathy to gain important information from their enemies. Monitor. After the League was expanded, Jon took the role of the League's official coordinator, keeping watch on a global scale and handing out assignments based on the availability of hero personnel and the best match of abilities to situations. Jon was presumably picked for this job because of his intelligence and wisdom, but also because, as an alien, he was the one most able to spend an indefinite amount of time in the Watchtower. The downside of this role was that he spent nearly 2 years in the Watchtower, rarely taking an active part in a mission and almost never interacting with other humans. Wonder Woman, who felt particularly close to John, encouraged him to get out more. Realizing that she was right and that he would be forever alone unless he learned to live among humans, John took a leave of absence from the League and spent several months on Earth in a human guise. Mr. Terrific took John's place as League coordinator. By the time of Darkseid's final invasion of Earth, John had succeeded in his mission. Taking a middle-aged woman as his wife, John was living happily in China. John's wife appeared to be aware of his true self because when he reassumed his hero form to join the League against the invaders, she only voiced that he be careful. After the invasion, John joined the League in pursuing the remaining members of the Legion of Doom. As they left the Metro Tower, John spoke to his wife on a cell phone, telling her he would be home in time for dinner, and that he loved her. Alternate timeline. In an alternate future created by Kronos, Justice League Unlimited member Warhawk mentioned that John's future self had been killed during the destruction of the Watchtower, along with many other members of the Justice League. Background information. Carl Lumbly has stated that his portrayal of onnj'onzzz was largely influenced by his experience as being the child of immigrants coming to a place where they were required to start anew. No other Martians left, and he can't go back to Mars to get a sense of himself in the same way we couldn't go back to Jamaica. That was the essence of it. In the comics, John was a manhunter, a Martian law officer and the, presumed, sole survivor of an engineered telepathic plague that wiped out the Green Martians. The plague was created by his brother, a non-telepath. Centuries after the event, he was accidentally teleported from Mars to Earth by a kindly human scientist who died from a heart attack after seeing John's form. Unable to return to Mars, he adopted a human form and the name onnj'onzzz and worked as a police detective, using his telepathic abilities to solve crimes. While John was believed to be the sole survivor, it was later revealed that 5 other Green Martians survived. Despite John being regularly referred to as Martian Manhunter in the main DCU, the term was only used one time in the DCAU in Task Force X. The Imperium invaders are somewhat similar to the White Martians, a belligerent genetic offshoot of John's species that attempted to conquer Mars, and were banished to the Phantom Zone, but later returned occasionally to combat the Justice League. In the comics, John's powers also include super speed and the ability to fire laser-like beams from his eyes, similar to Superman's heat vision. John also has some form of telekinesis, which is the source of his flight and also allows him to emit destructive Martian vision eye beams. Also, he and other Martians are shown to be severely weakened by fire, which is never shown in the animated version, although it is discreetly referred to in early episodes, in the form of large flames somewhere nearby when John is incapacitated during those battles. In the comics, John also loves Choco Sandwich cookies, a passing reference to which is made in Comfort and Joy. John originally loved Oreo cookies, but DC changed it to the fictional Choco brand cookies for legal reasons. In the first issue of Final Crisis, John was killed by Libra to show the secret society that he could fulfill their heart's desire. A funeral was held on Mars attended by many of Earth's superhero community, where Superman gave the eulogy. A book about Mars was left on his casket by those who received the info, via telepathy, from John in his last moments. As a final goodbye, Batman left a Choco, John's favorite, on his casket. The character was recently brought to life again in the Blackest Night arc, as a Black Lantern. At the end of the story, he was fully revived by the Life Entity along with several others, which in turn led directly into the Brightest Day series, in which John was a featured character. Powers and abilities. John possesses a vast array of superpowers that he uses to serve others: superhuman strength, speed, limited invulnerability, telepathy, and several others. John is not only able to fly but is able to do so at speeds of the level of metahumans. His superhuman strength makes him much stronger than the other members of the League, with the exceptions of Superman and Wonder Woman. Under normal circumstances, John's strength is inferior to that of Superman's, but his strength could be augmented by his phase shifting and size manipulation powers. Hence, he might actually be as strong as Superman, if not stronger, depending on the extent to which he used his powers. He is a shapeshifter and can assume the shape of most organisms, humanoids, and objects. He has shown himself able to increase his size significantly, but not to decrease it. He also uses telepathy, in which he can read minds and project his thoughts. He is a powerful telepathic, especially with physical contact, as he is able to get into Kragger's mind by tearing apart his mental barrier. However, this resulted in Kragger being mentally impaired for the remainder of his life. He also rescues Green Lantern, Flash, and Superman from Dr. Destiny by entering into their dreams. He also had the ability to mentally shield people from being detected. In addition to telepathy, John could apparently sense magical energy, at least when being actively used or at very high levels. He was able to seek out Morgan Le Fay's mind despite never having met her and judge Mordred's mystical strength when the villain was attacking Metropolis, but apparently missed that Mordred was a spellcaster like his mother. However, John was distracted by Morgan's lies, and so may have missed Mordred's power. John is also able to alter his density at the molecular level, which in practice allows him to become invisible, pass through solid objects, and vice versa, or become invulnerably solid. An increase in his density results in a blue aura that increases his strength and invulnerability on par with that of Superman. This also allows John to fully recover after sustaining severe physical damage, such as being torn apart into two. As the product of an advanced civilization, John also possesses a wealth of scientific knowledge and technological expertise. After his long experience of war, he is a brilliant field medic, and his telepathic abilities make him a great counselor and empath. Finally, his long life gives him great wisdom and an aptitude for strategic thinking. Despite being over 1,000 years old, he maintains the appearance of what appears to be a middle-aged man. Powers. Martian physiology. The average Martian possesses the potential for the following power set. Shapeshifting. Martians have psionic control of their physical for down to the molecular level. This allows them to a form of shapeshifting that allows them to mimic other forms, elongate aspects of their body, increase or decrease their physical size, and so on. Size alteration. As an extension of their shapeshifting abilities, Martians can alter their size with ease, being able to shrink or grow to gigantic size. Invisibility. Martians can cause the biopolymers in their bodies to lose their ability to reflect light, making the Martians invisible to normal light and human sight. Phasing. Martians can go through solid matter. Superhuman strength. Martians possess vast levels of superhuman strength and are among the few races that are able to match Kryptonians in terms of raw strength. Martians can easily shatter reinforced concrete and steel, lift and carry hundreds of tons with ease and deliver incredible damage with their blows. Superhuman stamina. Superhuman durability. Martians possess high levels of durability that make them nigh invulnerable to all forms of damage. Martians can withstand high-caliber bullets, powerful energy blast and kinetic impacts without suffering damage. Superhuman speed. Martians can process thoughts, move, and react at incredible speed, being able to cover vast distances in little or no time, catch bullets in mid-flight, run on water and create afterimages as they run. Superhuman agility. Superhuman reflexes. Regeneration. Martians have powerful regenerative powers that enable them to regenerate their entire body from a severed limb. They can furtherly enhance their regenerative powers by drawing mass from nearby sources. Flight. Extrasensory input. Longevity. Super hearing. Heat vision. Martian vision. Martian visual acuity greatly exceed human norms and allows for a wider range of information to be observed. This includes the following: infrared vision, X-ray vision, electromagnetic spectrum vision, telescopic vision, microscopic vision. Telepathy. Martians have the ability to read the minds of others and project their thoughts to varying degrees. They can also project their mental essences into a Gestalt community known as the Great Mind. Through this, the community can enhance the telepathic strength of other Martians. This power can also enable them to reverse the effects of amnesia or psychological brainwashing. Illusions. Possession. Astral projection. Mind control. As an extension of this, Martians can also use the ability to alter a psychological profile of a target, enabling them to manipulate, and in some cases, outright control that individual. This practice is greatly discouraged, however, and only rarely used. Telepathic relay. Telepathic assault. Telekinesis. Martians have mind-over-matter abilities and can lift and move objects with their minds. They can also employ their telekinesis in an offensive way by discharging telekinetic blasts capable of great concussive power. Abilities. Charisma. Demolitions. Disguise. Firearms. Intimidation. Investigation. Leadership. Surveillance. Tactical analysis. Weaponry. Weaknesses. Vulnerability to fire. Martians are much more vulnerable to fire than the average Earth human. At times this has been portrayed as physical, psychological, or a combination of the two. The effect of this is to strip any Martian of their powers as they involuntarily lose control of their body. Other characteristics. Chocoholism. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.